Hello friends and welcome back to my channel. In today's video, we will be learning about the poem Unfolding Bud written by Naoshi Koriyama. So before we start, let us look at what we will be doing in this video. We will be learning about the poet, introduction of the poem, reciting the poem, analyzing the poem, then we'll be discussing the theme of this poem. We'll also be looking at the summary of this poem. We'll also be discussing the various figures of speech which include poetic devices. So let's start by learning about the poet. Naoshi Koriyama is a Japanese poet and author. He was a professor at Toyo University and holds the title of Professor Emeritus. He has published 9 collections in English and 3 from Japanese to English. So let us look at the introduction of this poem. This poem compares the flowering of a water lily to the process of understanding a poem. This poem teaches us that a poem needs to be read and understood slowly and over a period of time. The word unfolding brings out the similarity between the flower and the poem. While the flower unfolds to reveal its colors, the poem unfolds to reveal its inner meaning. So now let's recite the poem. This poem has 3 stanzas in total. Unfolding Bud by Naoshi Koriyama. One is amazed by a water lily bud unfolding with each passing day, taking on a richer color and new dimensions. One is not amazed at first glance by a poem which is tight-closed as a tiny bud. Yet, one is amazed to see the poem gradually unfolding, revealing its rich inner self as one reads it again and over again. So now let us move ahead to analyze the poem stanza-wise, and I'll be explaining it line by line. So kindly pay attention and take down any points. Stanza 1. One is amazed by a water lily bud unfolding with each passing day. So the poem starts by talking about a water lily bud. So the first stanza is totally talking about a water lily, but let us also compare it to a poem as we read it. So one is amazed, which means one is very surprised by a water lily bud. So water lily bud is still not a flower. It's still, a bud. It still hasn't blown or unfolded and does not show us the color. It's like a bud. It's not unfolded. We don't know what is happening inside. The same way when we read a poem, we don't know unless we read it. It's like a water lily bud that has not unfolded and we don't know what is inside it, right? With each passing day, taking on a richer color and new dimensions. So the poet here says that the water lily in the beginning is a bud, but later on, with each passing day as it unfolds, we are surprised to see the richer color and new dimensions. New dimension means new sizes, new shapes, and new ways in which we can view the flower. In the same way, in the beginning, we are not amazed to, when we see a poem. It is like, a tightly closed water lily bud. But with each passing day, as we read the poem, we are amazed. We are surprised as we see that the poem takes a richer color and new dimensions. The poem takes a richer color, meaning the inner meaning grows and it takes new dimensions. We don't see the poem in the way in which we used to see it earlier. The way we view the poem becomes completely different. So that really amazes us or it surprises us. So just like how a water lily bud unfolds with each passing day and takes a richer color and new dimensions, in the same way a poem, the more we read it, it is like, a water lily bud that is tightly closed. But the more we read it, with each passing day, we can see it slowly unfolding, showing its beautiful, richer color and new dimensions. It shows us new dimensions, new paths, new ways, right? I hope the first stanza is clear. Let us move on to the second stanza. One is not amazed at first glance by a poem which is tight closed as a tiny bud. So now this is how a tightly closed bud looks like. So the poet says in the first stanza the poet was talking completely only about a water lily bud, but in the second stanza there is a diversion, and the poet directly starts talking about the poems, directly starts comparing the poem to the flower. So poet says that at the first glance, at the first view, we are not amazed when we read a poem, because the poem, when we read it for the first time, is like this bud. It is tight closed as a tiny bud. We do not know what is inside. We do not know how day by day it's going to change or what shape it's going to take. So the poet says in the same way, it's like a poem. The poem also, in first glance, it looks normal or it does not look very enticing. But gradually we are amazed by the new dimensions and richer color that the poem takes. Same way, the water lily, which was once tight closed and tiny bud, later it starts unfolding and blooming. These are the words you need to use. It starts unfolding, taking on a new color, richer dimensions, right? Richer color, new dimensions. And at first glance, it does not, amaze us. But gradually, like, a poem, the more we read it, the more we understand, the more, we see the beauty of that poem, the more we get deeper into the poem. We are amazed by the rich inner meaning of the poem. So at first time we read a poem, it's like this bud, it's closed, it's tight, but gradually as we start reading, we are amazed. So while we see this flower, we are not amazed, right? It does not have a rich color or it does not have a shape as of now. So the poet says it's the same with the poem at first glance. It does not have, it does not amaze us. It does not show us its rich inner self or its true meaning. It's like a tightly closed tiny bud. I hope this is clear. Third stanza. Yet one is surprised to see the poem gradually unfolding. So now here straight away the poet compares the poem to the flower and says one is amazed now, one is surprised. Earlier the poet says we are not amazed, but now he's saying we are surprised to see the poem gradually unfolding. So as a flower, as a water lily unfolds, same way the poem is also unfolding. One by one it unfolds and it's blooming, revealing its rich inner self as one reads it again and over again. So the poet says that the more you read it, the more you understand it. The more you read it again and over again, you can see the rich inner self gradually unfolding, and that surprises us. So the poet first talks about a water lily and says that it is a tight closed bud, and we are not amazed to see the bud, but gradually when it unfolds, we see its rich inner self, we see its new dimensions and richer color, and that really surprises us or amazes us. The same way is a poem. At first glance it seems to be like a tight closed bud. It's it does not look very enticing, it does not amaze us. But gradually the more we read it, the more deeper we get into it, the more deeper meaning we understand, the more we interpret it. We understand its rich inner self, its new dimensions, its rich meaning as we read it again and over again. And just like how a water lily unfolds, gradually the poem also will unfold and show us its true rich inner self, and that will really amaze us or surprise us. But for that we should read it again and over again. So this is the explanation of this poem. I hope this is clear. Let us discuss the theme of this poem. The theme is that one should not give up reading a poem right away. We should continue reading it until it unfolds gradually to show us its rich inner self, just like a water lily. You can also add the points that I said earlier and give your own explanation, and you will get marks for it if you justify your statement. I hope this is clear. Let us move on to the summary of this poem. So the poet says that it may take time to understand the deeper meaning of the poem, but ultimately, when one understands it, one is glad to have kept the patience till the end. The poet says that we are amazed at the increasing beauty of the water lily as we watch it unfold at its own pace day by day. The ordinary looking bud opens out to reveal petals and delicate shades as it grows bigger by spreading its petals wider and mesmerizing us with its stately elegance. You can use these words also, but try to stick on to the words that are used in the text, the stanza wise words, because they will be given marks. But to explain your views, you can use those words, and for the explanation part, you can use all these words as well and add beauty to your answer. So now let's discuss about the various figures of speech. The figures of speech, also the poetic devices, are, we have two poetic devices in this poem, which first one is a simile and the second poetic device is a metaphor. So the simile is that the poet compares the opening of a water lily to the reading of a poem. This is very important because in each stanza, this is what we see. We are comparing the opening of a water lily to the reading of a poem. The more the water lily gradually unfolds and opens and shows us its beauty and its rich inner self, the same way reading of a poem gradually unfolds the poem and shows us its rich inner self and new dimensions. Metaphor. The poet has used metaphor when she says, one is not amazed or at first glance. So all these are metaphorical terms that the poet has used. So therefore we come to the end of this video. I hope you have understood the explanation and also made note of all the important points and keywords. Let me know if you have anything to what I have added or said in the comment section below. Thank you so much for watching. Stay tuned and let us meet again in another educational video. Till then, thank you and happy learning.